What's happening, everybody? It's Jet Central. I'm coming back today with some more breaking NFL news. That news is that the LA Rams have just hired their new head coach in Sean McVay, previously of the Washington Redskins. This news is huge for obvious reasons. Not only is it the Rams moving on from Jeff Fisher, um, it's in LA, their new head coach, but he's also 30 years old. And it actually sets a record for the youngest head coach ever. And you know what? That's awesome. That's fantastic. Imagine being 30 years old and saying, yeah, I'm the coach of the LA Rams, one of 32 jobs in the country. That's awesome. People work their whole lives to even have an opportunity to become an NFL head coach. He already has one at 30. So, I like what he brings to the table. I think he's a good offensive mind. I like what I've seen from him in Washington, and I haven't heard one bad thing about him. I mean, the one thing that people are saying about him that I guess can work in a negative, in his case, is that he's young and he's inexperienced. But you know what? If that's the only bad thing that people can say about you is that you're young, then I think you have a pretty good thing going for you. I thought it was necessary to move on from Jeff Fisher. They also brought in defensive coordinator Wade Phillips, which I think is going to be a key acquisition. The defense already has a lot of good players on it. Robert Quinn, Ogletree, Aaron Donald. The Rams defense is really good. All things considered, or considering that the Rams offense is always punting the ball or always turning the football over to the Rams defense, in which they're playing more than they actually have to, they're really good on that side of the football. Bring in Wade Phillips to help coach that defense. It could be scary for years to come. Now on the offensive side, it's going to be interesting to see what McVay wants to do with Jared Goff, the former number one overall selection. Another thing that I was thinking about that is kind of bad about getting a new head coach in with a young quarterback is, even though you can't really blame it, it's not McVay's fault, it's not the Rams' fault, but I guess you can maybe say it is the Rams' fault for going up and spending all these draft picks to go up and draft a quarterback number one overall, and then have him be trying to be learning a second playbook his second season. That's not healthy. You want to make your quarterback or a quarterback's job as easy as possible. You don't want him struggling to learn these plays. I mean, he sat half the season because he was having a hard time taking snaps under center, and he couldn't get the playbook down. But once he felt ready to go, and Case Keenum was actually struggling at that specific point, they decided to make the move to Jared Goff. And whatever, a lot of people were making fun of him and this and that. I still think Goff is going to be good with time. I don't think it's overnight. Like, ever since the Andrew Luck draft, it's like, everyone expects like quarterbacks to just come in, start, and just be amazing and lead your team to multiple playoff appearances. But it doesn't really work like that. Andrew Luck was, a really specific, really rare occasion where a quarterback could come in and do that. I mean, look at Tennessee. You draft Mariota, then they're the worst team record-wise in the NFL. It wasn't until they started making some trades, they nailed the draft 2 years in a row, where they actually started to win some games. Same thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It takes a little bit for these quarterbacks. So if they struggle in preseason, don't write them off. Like, I feel like the media is like, Jared Goff is such an easy target because he has such high expectations and he's not living up to them. And it is what it is. But I think McVay is going to do a really good job with Goff in time. I don't, when week one rolls around, I'm not saying Goff's going to throw for 400 yards week one. But, all I'm saying is that I feel like a young coach in McVay and a young quarterback in Jared Goff, I think you have something there. Not maybe this season or the next season, because you still need, you have to solidify the offensive line if you're the Rams, and you have to get some more playmakers on offense. Todd Gurley's a beast. I like Tavon Austin, even though he's been somewhat of a disappointing pick. Even though, the Rams knew that he wasn't going to be like a number one wide receiver. He was just going to be like a Percy Harvin type, like a playmaker. But, Tavon Austin's a good player. And then obviously the unfortunate news with Stedman Bailey. That sucked. But, if I'm the Rams, I'd take a really hard look at Alshon Jeffrey in free agency. You get a defensive coordinator in Wade Phillips. You bring in a new head coach, Sean McVay. You get Alshon Jeffrey in the building. Now you're looking like you're definitely going in the right direction if that were to be the case. But my first reaction to the move was I was happy for the Rams. They dealt with so many average seasons with Jeff Fisher, and now they're finally making a move and seeing what happens. Only time can tell how McVay is going to do and how the Rams are going to do. Like I said, I don't think it's going to come all in one season, but I think it's going to, I think it will click in time, in the Rams' case. But, if I had to grade this move out of 1 through 5, I've been doing this on all my hiring videos, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I'd give this move a 4 out of 5. You're bringing in a young head coach with an offensive mind to help out the struggling offense. You're not just throwing aside the defense. You're bringing in Wade Phillips, a proven beast defensive coordinator who's done a fantastic job with the Denver Broncos. You already have some nice pieces on both sides of the ball. It does suck that they don't have a first-round draft pick this season because they would have been picking in the top 5, actually at spot number 5. But it is what it is. They went up. They got their franchise quarterback. They're hoping for last season. So, is it worth it? The Rams will have to tell you on that. But like I said, maybe if they could get a couple good free agency pickups, the Rams could be a team to look out for in years to come. So I definitely give the move a 4 for those reasons I was just talking about. I thought it was a good move. I thought it was a right move, and it's cool because it's L.A. new city for a football team. Yes, I do know the Rams used to be there and stuff like that, but it's back in L.A. Let's get a young head coach in there with some personality and some enthusiasm who's an offensive mind, which is what the Rams need. I like this move a lot. Not to mention the Wade Phillips thing. That brilliant by the LA Rams part. So I love the move. 4 out of 5, and that's it. LA Rams hire Sean McVay as head coach.